important command in all of SQL, the select statement. Seriously, if you want to get any information out of a database, this is the first word you absolutely have to know.
So, picture this. You're staring at this massive, overwhelming table of data. It could have thousands, maybe even millions of rows of customer info. You know the answers you need are buried in there somewhere, but how do you even begin to ask? How do you pull out just the useful bits without getting completely lost?
Well, that's the beauty of a SQL query. And here's the secret. You don't just write a super complex query all at once. Nope. You build it one clause at a time, piece by piece, kind of like building with Legos. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build a really powerful query together, one simple step at a time. Here's our game plan. We'll start with the most basic question. Then we'll learn how to filter our results, how to organize and refine them, and even how to summarize everything. Then we'll see how to filter those summaries before we put it all together in what I like to call the golden order. Okay, first things first, let's get down to the absolute fundamentals. Every single query you ever write is going to start with these two keywords. First up is select. I want you to think of it like walking up to a deli counter. Select is you telling the person what you want. Hey, I'll have the turkey, the provolone, and maybe some spinach. You're just specifying the columns, the exact pieces of data you're interested in. But, just saying what you want isn't quite enough, right? You have to tell them where to get it from. And that's where the from clause comes in. It tells the database which specific table to look in. Get the turkey from the meat case and the spinach from the veggie bin. Select and from, they're a team. They always work together. So here it is, our very first complete query. Select star from customer. Now, that little asterisk, that star, is a super useful shortcut. It just means all columns. So this query is basically us asking the database, hey, show me absolutely everything you've got in that customer table. Getting everything is a good start, but let's be real. It's rarely what you actually need. So now we're going to learn how to get way more specific and ask for only the rows we really care about. And this right here shows you the power of one little word, where. On the left, you see our original query, which just dumps all the customers. But on the right, just by adding that where country equals India clause, we've sliced through all that noise and filtered it down to just the customers that match our exact condition. It's our first real tool for precision. And we can get even more precise by stacking our conditions. Here we add and score greater than 400. So now we're not just asking for customers from India, we're asking for customers from India who also have a score over 400. See how we're starting to zero in on exactly what we're looking for? Okay, let's talk about a different problem. Let's say we just want a simple list of all the countries where we have customers. If we just select that country column, we get a list that looks something like this. You see the issue? It's messy. We've got duplicates all over the place. USA is in there twice, so is India. It's not super helpful. The fix for this is so simple, it's beautiful. You just add the keyword distinct right after select. That one word tells the database, hey, get rid of all the duplicates before you show me the result. And just like that, you get a clean, unique list of countries. A tiny word that makes a huge difference. All right, so now we're getting the right data. That's great. But it might be coming back in a totally random order. It's time we learn how to impose some structure and make sense of our results. The order by clause is our sorting tool. It's that simple. If we want to see our highest scoring customers right at the top, we just say order by score DESC. That DESC keyword stands for descending. If you left it off, it would sort the other way, from lowest to highest. This little clause instantly floats the most important data right to the top. Okay, but what if we only want to see our top 5? We don't need the whole list. Well, we keep our order by clause, because that has to happen first. Then, right after the select keyword, we can add top 5. Now, depending on the type of SQL you're using, this keyword might be limit, and it might go at the very end of the query. But the effect is the same. It just chops off the result after the first 5 rows, giving us a really focused look at our VIP. So far, everything, and I mean everything, we've done has been about looking at individual rows. Now, we're about to take a huge leap forward. We're going to learn how to see the big picture, how to summarize our data and start spotting some real trends. This is where group by comes in. And trust me, it's a total game changer. Instead of looking at one customer at a time, we're telling SQL to bundle or group all the rows that have the same value in the country column. Then, once they're in those groups, we can do a calculation, like finding the average score,
That's what AVG does for each of those new groups.
And this is what we get back. Look at this. We're not seeing individual customers anymore, are we? Nope. We've got a brand new summary table. For each country, we now see the calculated average score for all the customers in that country. This is how you go from just having raw data to finding real insights. Now this brings up a really interesting new question. What if we want to filter these new summary rows? Maybe we only want to see the countries where the average score is really high. Well, we can't use where for this. Why? Because where does its job on the individual rows before the grouping ever happens. We need a new tool for this job. You have to get this order of operations in your head. It is so important. First, where comes in and filters the raw individual rows. Then, group by takes all the rows that survive that filter and bundles them into our summary groups. And only then, at the very end, does having come along to filter those newly created summary groups. They have very different jobs. So, this leads us to the most critical point of all. All these powerful clauses we've just learned have to be written in a very specific, totally non-negotiable order for SQL to understand what you're trying to do. And here it is. This is what I call the golden order. You need to commit this to memory. It's always select, then from, then where, then group by, then having, and finally, at the very end, order by. This is the basic grammar for almost any query you're ever going to write.
Okay, let's put it all together. Here's our final query, using every single piece in the golden order. We select the country and the average score. We get it from the customer table. First, we filter with where, to get rid of anyone with a 0 score before we do our math. Then we bundle what's left with group by country. Now we filter those new groups with having average score greater than 430. And finally, we sort the final results with order by. See, every piece we've learned all working together in perfect sequence.
So if you take just one thing away today, let it be this. Don't just memorize the keywords. Try to understand the logical pattern of how to ask a good question.